Hare Krišna. Hare Krišna. Hare Krišna, Hare Krišna. Oh, okay. Sorry for the beautiful voice. Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Gopi Janavalabha Jaya Giri Varadari Jaya Giri Varadari Gopi Janavalabha Gopi Janavalabha Jaya Giri Varadari Jaya Giri Varadari Gopi Janavalabha Jaya Giri Varadari Jaya Giri Varadari Jaya Yashodanandana Jaya Braja Janaranjana 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 Jaya Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Kunja Bihari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Kunja Bihari Jaya Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Kunja Bihari, Jaya Kunja Bihari, Jaya Yamuna Tiravanachari, Jaya Kunja Bihari, Jaya Hari, Jaya Radha Madhava, Jaya Kunja Bihari, Jaya Radha Madhava, Jaya Kunja Bihari, Jaya Radha Madhava, Jaya Kunja Bihari, Jaya Radha Madhava, Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Hare, Jaya Pancha Tattva, Jaya Pancha Tattva, Jaya Pancha Tattva, Jaya Pancha Tattva, Jaya Goranitai, Jaya Goranitai, Jaya Goranitai, Jaya Goranitai, Jaya Goranitai, Goranitai, Jaya Goranitai, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada, Shri Panchatattva ki jai, Shri Gornitai ki jai. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Hare Krishna. We're reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 9, Chapter 10, Text 55. Premanuvritya Shilana Prashraya Vanata Sati Biyahriya Chabhavagya Bhartusita Haran Manaha Premnanuvritya Shilana Prashraya vanata sati. Vyahriya cha bhavagya. Vartu sitaharan manaha. Premnanuvritya shilena. Prashraya vanata sati. Sitaharan manaha. Prananuvritya shilena. Shraya vanata sati. Yacha bhavagya. Bhartu sitaharan manaha. Okay, Matajis. Prananuvritya shilena. Prashraya vanata sati. Vyahriya cha bhavagya. Bhartu sitaharan manaha. Premna anuvritya. Because of service rendered to the husband with love and faith. Shilena, by such good character. Prashraya avanata, always very submissive and ready to satisfy the husband. Sati, chaste. Biya, by being afraid. Kriya, by shyness. Cha, also. Bhavagya, understanding the attitude of the husband. Bhartu, of her husband, Lord Ramachandra. Sita, Mother Sita. Aharat, simply captivated. Manaha, the mind. Translation and purport, but His Divine Grace, H.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Translation. Mother Sita was very submissive, faithful, shy and chaste, always understanding the attitude of her husband. Thus by her character and her love and service, she completely attracted the mind of the Lord. Purport. As Lord Ramachandra is the ideal husband, Ekapatni Vrata, Mother Sita is the ideal wife. Such a combination makes family life very happy. Yad yad acharati shreshtas tad tad evetaro janaha. Whatever example a great man sets, common people follow. If the kings, the leaders, and the brahmanas, the teachers, would set for the examples we receive from Vedic literature, the entire world would be heaven. Indeed, there would no longer be hellish conditions within this material world. Thus end the Bhaktivedanta purports of the 9th canto, 10th chapter of the Srimad Bhagavatam, entitled The Pastimes of the Supreme Lord Ramachandra. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prashtaya Bhutale Shrimate. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prashtaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhaktivedanta Swamiti Namine. Namaste Sarasvate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashate Adeshatarine. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. Okay, thank you. First, some points from from previous verse, which I didn't manage to cover last time. Srila Prabhupada talks a bit in the purport about Varnashrama Dharma. And the idea of Varnashrama Dharma is that we are different. As I told this joke last time, that we are all blue, but some are light blue and some are dark blue. So this is actually our philosophy. This is called Achintya Bheda Abheda. We are all spirit soul, but we are different. We have our material conditioning is different. We're in a male body, we're in a female body, and even more than that, we have different propensities. Some people like to do physical work. They have to do, Some people like to make money. Some people like to organize. You do that, you do that, you do that, and this. And some people like to read, study, shastras, teach others. And this is very practical. And you can see, also in the temple. This system. As a side note, we were speaking yesterday with the devotees about health. So, is health, being healthy, something spiritual? No, of course it's not, because this is a material body. But most of the people, if they are not physically healthy, their spiritual life will be very disturbed. No. How many of us, when they are sick, they're chanting the rounds with the same state of mind? How many of us, when they when they are sick, they read Srila Prabhupada's books? No? It's practical. Many, and even if in theory, if being sick is an impetus for taking more shelter of Krishna, still, most of us, when we are sick, we don't take so much shelter of Krishna. We're like, oh, I'm sick. So that's somehow the idea behind Varnashrama Dharma. Varnashrama Dharma takes into account that we are different. Everyone has some material propensities. And we have to situate ourselves in a proper position, because devotional service is not something you do for 1 year and then you get enlightened. Krishna will come and will like, yes, you are chanting for 1 year. Oh my God, every day. Far out. No, it's. For most of us, devotional service is something we have to do the whole life. So then we have to properly situate ourselves. And also in the temple, you can see devotees. If you ask them to do some service, they will be like, "Oh my God, that service! No, please." And the same devotees. It's not that they are bad devotees, but same devotees, if you ask them to do some other service, they will be like, wow, yes, let's go, let's do it, yes. Some devotees are more attracted to deity worship. Some devotees are more attracted to Sankirtan. Some devotees are attracted to cooking. So that's, in some way, you can say first point is that from material perspective, we have different conditioning. Let's start with that idea. So if we would be pure devotees, we would do whatever is needed in the temple. But if we're not pure devotees, then some services we like to do, and some other services we don't like to do. It's just, and the idea is that that's all right. That's okay. So in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, there's 2 verses where he says that everyone should do their own duty. And this is talking about more or less material duty, like because we have some propensities, it's best that we do our own duty. Yeah, if your propensity is to read and study and give classes and so on, you should read and study and give classes. If your propensity is to go for Sankirtan, it's better if you go for Sankirtan, like this. And also even from spiritual perspective, we're different, because when you go, it's not that when you go to spiritual world, we're all one. Everyone is serving Krishna in a different way. No, Krishna is not everyone is churning butter. There's other, the cowherd boys are serving differently. And so first thing is that we should taking this into account, the different devotees, different people are different. And we should try to engage everyone according to their propensity. That's the idea of Varnashama. And it's not about, in a way, it's better to be a Brahmana. But and Srila Prabhupada wanted to bring us all to the Brahminical situation. But in other way, it's all devotional service. And it's better to engage yourself according to your propensities than to try to engage in some other way, to pretend that you're something else. So this is really the principle of Varnashama. It's not so much about this is bad and this is good, because actually the Brahmanas in the Varnashama system who are the most elevated, they are the most humble. So they don't think, oh, I'm Brahman, I'm superior. Oh. No, it's just they have different position. So that's mainly the idea. And another thing in this verse, in the verse before, Lord Ramachandra, it says, the verse itself says, Lord Ramachandra took a vow to accept only one wife and have no connection with any other women, which is a part of the Vedic culture which we don't like in the West, because we're not used to it. It sounds really strange, like what this Lord Ramachandra was. What we call him? These people. He was a hater. He was hating women, because that's why he didn't. He had one wife and he had no connection with other women. No, but actually that's the Vedic system. Srila Prabhupada speaks about butter and fire, I said before. And it is really scientific that if you put fire and butter together, the butter will melt. It's science. And if they mix, if Prabhus and Matajis mix freely, then there is no Krishna consciousness. So there's a few examples. One example about how naturally Prabhus and Matajis are attracted by each other. There's this nice example about Rishaya Shringa. Rishaya Shringa was the son of great Muni, Vibondaka Muni. And Vibondaka Muni wanted to have his child as a pure brahmachari. So he was a bit extreme. He was in Vibondaka Muni's ashram. There was no women, of course, which is normal. But even the animals, there was only male animals. There was no deer and so on. There was only male animals. And I guess also the Shastras. He had modified the version of the Shastras. In the Shastras, Vibhondaka Muni was teaching to his son. There was no women, nothing. There was. I don't know how he did it, but anyway. So at one point they needed to have a sacrifice. One of the kings around, they needed to have a sacrifice, and they needed someone who is really pure. So they knew, okay, we have to get Rishayashringa, who is the son of Vibhondaka Muni. But they knew Vibhondaka Muni was quite easily angered. So they couldn't just go there and say, oh, we want your son. And because before some ladies were trying to attract them, and he was cursing them, and it was really bad. So nobody wanted to get close to Vibhondaka Muni. But somehow they knew when Vibhondaka Muni was going away, and Rishayashringa was alone. So they sent 3 Matajis dressed as brahmacharis. So these Matajis went to this ashram, and Rishayashringa was very nicely welcoming them. He knew Vedic culture. And then he saw that he was quite attracted to these brahmacharis. They were really nice brahmacharis. He never seen so nice brahmacharis before. Of course, these brahmacharis were not really brahmacharis. So this is just, and then of course they got Rishayashringa, and they did this sacrifice. It all turned out all right. But that's just the idea that nobody told Rishayashringa that he has to be attracted to female sex. He never knew that there is something like this, but naturally he felt attracted. So he was really attracted to these brahmacharis, so-called brahmacharis. Anyway, so it's natural, and we should be careful with this. There's one verse in Bhagavatam where King Yayati speaks a bit about this danger. He says, King Yayati tried to enjoy and was enjoying material life. We will study later. He was enjoying material life for a long time. And then at some point he is telling a story to his wife to start getting detached. And he says, one should not allow oneself to sit on the same seat even with one's own mother, sister, or daughter. For the senses are so strong that even though one is very advanced in knowledge, he may be attracted by sex. So that's the standard. It says that even mother, sister, daughter, still sometimes. So sometimes you might think, well, we're devotees, we're responsible, we're not attractive, we're pure devotees, only for Krishna. So sometimes it happens that one male devotee and one female devotee do. I will go there a bit later. Anyway, so and you have Lord Chaitanya who was very strict on this topic. You have Lord Chaitanya who is very liberal. He accepts anyone. He accepts Jagai and Madai. He's very, very liberal. But on the other side, Lord Chaitanya is very strict on this topic. He's very strict with Mataji association. Because, of course, Lord Chaitanya is sannyas. And he would not speak to Mataji. And the Matajis would pay respect from the distance. They would not come close. So Lord Chaitanya was very strict. And there's this example of Chota Haridas, who was banished from association. Chota Haridas was also sannyas, so that's important to know. And he was banished from association because he was associating with Matajis. And then you have in Teachings of Lord Chaitanya this episode that is described, and it's like he was associating with the Mataji. But if you read Chaitanya Charitamrita, and probably Prabhupada makes it a bit more light, but if you read in Chaitanya Charitamrita what actually happened, you will see that it was not as bad. It was not so bad. Actually, Shiki Mahiti was inviting Lord Chaitanya for lunch. So he wanted to have the best things for Lord Chaitanya, and he knew Madhavi Mataji, who was his sister, has best rice. So he just said, Chota Haridas, can you please go to Madhavi Mataji and get some rice? And very, very important, Madhavi Mataji was elderly woman, like she was not 20 years old. She was 60s, 70s, probably, something like this. So Chota Haridas just went there, said, knock, knock, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Shiki Mahiti sent me for some rice. Yes, how much? Okay, 1 kilo. Okay, thank you. Here you are. Thank you. Goodbye. So that was the episode. We should not think that it was like, oh, they were like, hi, how are you? You look very nice today. Oh, you have new earrings. Oh, nice. No. That was the episode. That was actually the episode. It's like, we put it here. Ananta Prabhu sends Bhakta Domen to Somyadatri Mataji to get some rice. Bhakta Domen is not sannyas, so that's a bit different. But Bhakta Domen just took sannyas. And so Bhakta Domen is going to Somyadatri Mataji, he says, because Somyadatri Mataji knows where the good rice is. And he says, Mataji, can you give me 1 kilo of rice? Yes, here you are. And he takes it and goes back to Ananta Prabhu and says, here's the rice. Okay, because today, I don't know, Sachinandana Swami is coming and we have to cook the best rice. Okay, finish. And what did Lord Chaitanya do for this action? He banished Chota Haridas from his association for this. He says, I don't want to have anything to do with someone who associates with women. Quite extreme, huh? But that's what they call, Srila Prabhupada calls this chastising the daughter so that the daughter-in-law can understand. So Lord Chaitanya is giving an example with his close associates, just so we understand. Of course, Chota Haridas was always in the association of Lord Chaitanya, and he was actually in his spiritual body coming and singing for Lord Chaitanya. Lord Chaitanya was very pleased with him. But Lord Chaitanya gives this example just to show us how dangerous this loose association is. So that's the idea. From the purport today, we have the idea that we should give proper examples, and proper examples are closer to Vedic culture, as close as possible. And so we should really make sure that we have proper association between Matajis and Prabhus. Like they don't serve together. Like you can have, just joking, that if Matajis and Prabhus do garlands together, first they do garlands for Gornitai, for Panchatattva, and then they do some garlands for themselves. Like, oh, here's the garland for you. And of course, as a principle, this wouldn't be a problem, because we're saying, okay, Grihastha ashram is also a bona fide ashram. It is, of course. But there's a few practical considerations there, which we should take into account. First, the idea is that if you want to have good grihastas, the best training for good grihastas is brahmachari training. So if someone is a loose brahmachari, then he will probably not be a very good grihasta. This is one of the problems. Second is that this kind of marriage is not based on compatibility. It's not based on serving Krishna together. When this is mostly based on, let's call it physical attraction. Like when devotees associate loosely and they're like, oh, how are you? Their mindset is not usually that, okay, we will gonna get married and serve Krishna together. Like Krishna. No, it's mostly some other things. So this will mostly result in so many other problems. Not so much in Krishna consciousness. And the other problem is that if you're married, you usually don't live in the temple. So this brings another set of problems. Like if you don't live in the temple, you have to live somewhere else. So then you have to maintain yourself. So how do you maintain yourself? There was as a side dish. There was I heard about one devotee who was he was staying 10 years in the ashram, and then he married. He was doing sankirtan, as far as I know, and then he married, and then he was thinking, how will I maintain myself now? And then the logical answer is, why didn't you think before, moving from the ashram? I mean, you get married. First thing a normal person would think of, like, okay, I want to go out from the ashram. Okay, what will I do when I go out from the ashram? That's serious. I mean, like, okay, how will I maintain myself? I mean, and there's some good ideas, because that's why Srila Prabhupada wanted us to have farm communities. Because if you have farm communities, then you would just go on the farms and maintain yourself more or less nicely. But if we don't have farm communities, then problems. Some devotees can maintain themselves by we have some shops, we have some restaurants, we have some which is very nice. But if you don't work in this kind of environments, then you will have to get a karmi job. And then there's a bigger problem that you have to associate with some non-devotees for 8 hours a day. And then your consciousness will be, you get affected. And of course, even if you work in a restaurant, even if you do sankirtan, even if you work in the shop, you still associate with non-devotees. But that's different, because if you associate with non-devotees and in the center is serving Krishna, we're doing prasadam distribution, we're doing book distribution, we're in the shop it's also book distribution, prasadam distribution. So then you're protected. You are somehow protected. Like we do go and Sankirtan devotees talk to the most number of Matajis ever. Sometimes too much. But you are a bit protected. But if you go work in a normal job and you associate with non-devotees, then you are working on their terms. You are working according to their rules. Like if I go in Sankirtan, I speak to someone, I don't like his philosophy, I can just say, thank you. it was nice to meet you. Hare Krishna. Just go. It's no problem, you know. Just go to the next person. I associate on my terms. Yeah, I don't like his yeah. But if I have to work like before I quit my job, I was working in an environment they somehow found where Krishna I'm into Krishna consciousness. They somehow find. I was going for Harinam, so it was not such a secret. So then they were, especially my former boss was becoming quite offensive about Krishna consciousness. Was making these kind of jokes. And what could I do, you know? What can I do? I had to hear all these offenses. So I was like, okay, enough is enough, see you. I quit. So that can be the problem. Yeah, that's not to say that the Grihastha life is not bona fide. Of course it's bona fide, but we should really be honest, you know, like what are you getting into? How we should really, I don't know, probably have better training for grihastas. Like, how are you gonna maintain yourself? How are you gonna live? Where you get your devotee association? All these things you have to think before, not like, oh, this Mataji is so nice, or this Prabhu is so nice. We're gonna live together happily ever after. Okay, so how are you gonna maintain yourself? Where are you gonna live? You know, all this. Yeah, you should think before, not. So yeah, but the general that was just a bit of side dish. But the general point is that we should really give an example and go as close as possible to the Vedic culture and really minimize the interaction between Matajis and Prabhus. So that's one part. And the other part is that also everyone, if there has to be some interaction, we should keep it, you know, like there's no loving exchanges between Matajis and Prabhus. Like there's not so much revealing your heart in confidence. There's no joking, you know, hi, there's no like, hi Mataji, you're looking so nice today, how are you? No, like a bit distant, a bit, yeah, hi, how are you? Respectful, because respectful and a bit of distance, you know. That's the Vedic culture, and we should be a bit in that direction. So that's the idea. So yeah, it's not just Matajis. It's not that sometimes Prabhus, when they hear, oh, mother, especially married people, like His Grace Mahatma Prabhu would explain that then when they would say, he would say, oh, this is the duty of the wife, and then the husband would be like, listen up. And then he would say, no, this is the duties of the husband, and the wife would be like, listen up, you know, like everyone was concerned about the duties of others. Yeah, your duties are this. And she was like, your duties are this. So we should, Matajis have to be, learn how to be submissive, faithful, shy, and chaste. And yeah, men have to learn what their part is and how to behave in the association of Matajis. Jai. Yeah, I hope I didn't say anything too stupid. Of course I said something stupid, but not too. Okay, thank you. If there are some comments, questions, concerns. It's somewhere there, probably. Boom, boom.
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much for nice lecture. So, like, for the matter of deeper understanding, like, you were comparing like working either in the shop or with devotees, or then the other hand going to some other job. Like, what would you say? Like, many times you hear a response from devotees, like, you know, they are somehow engaging their propensities in that way, going to such a job and then spending money they earn for their grihastha ashram. But anyhow, like, they are affected, they are really missing. What do you think? Like,
yeah, I mean, in theory, the principle when you speak about avoiding non-devotee association, it's more or less about not engaging in the 6 loving exchanges with them. It's not. This is in theory. In theory, you can stay next to someone, and as long as you're professional, like, hi, how are you? What do we have to do? This thing, okay. These papers we have to do by which hour? 3 o'clock, okay. You do your job, finish, no problem. This is the theory that even if you have to, the idea is avoiding association of non-devotees means mostly not so much avoiding physical association, but avoiding especially inquiring confidentially and revealing your mind in confidence. You'd never do that, you know, like. You don't show your deepest things because they will not appreciate, because they will criticize, because like with my former boss, he was the information he got, he was using this to be offensive.
The information of what?
Information about Krishna consciousness. He got this information that he was using to become offensive. So you don't tell everything, you don't tell them, go and tell them about Radha Krishna. No way. I mean, he didn't get it from me, but he got it. So that's the idea. Prasadam, you can give them prasadam. But it's better that you don't eat what they give you. And gifts, you can give them a book sometimes. But that's the principle, that Jana Sangha, avoiding association of non-devotees, means more or less avoiding a bit these 6 loving exchanges, and not, most important, not taking up their ideas. But, you know, in theory you can do it, but it's hard. It's harder. I mean, for me it was too hard. I must admit. But yeah, in theory,
like they say, the birds of same feather flies together.
Yeah, something like this.
Somehow you get through this association, even though you try to keep distance, you get some attachment.
You do get. That's why Srila Rupa Goswami says. Jana Sangams, Chalaulyam Cha. You get all these things that are negative for bhakti, you get by association of non-devotees.
What about, like, you know, you also mentioned the importance of what kind of product you're dealing with, like, you know, if you're selling prasadam or doing sankirtan, or on the other hand, doing some other, like, I don't know, electronics, like things like, you know, also by association thing with non-devotional items, probably the absorption is also different.
Yeah, it's more or less about is this a service for Krishna or not, as far as I understand. And in principle, also.
You can say, like, you know, I'm going there to earn money, like, you know, because by this I need to provide for family.
Yeah.
So how much deep you can be absorbed in that way?
You can. I mean, in theory you can, and probably there are some devotees who actually it's not so much about what you do. There's one thing what you do, and the other thing is how you do it. What is your consciousness when you do it? So if your consciousness is really that the proper one, then you don't have such a big problem. No, you just go there, you do it. Like, you have the gopis who they're engaged in a family. That's the highest example. They are engaged in some so-called family stuff, but they think of Krishna the whole day. And speaking of that, my yearning for Krishna consciousness was higher in those days when I was working. I was really taking more desperate because I was in such a crazy association that I was like, "Oh way, Krishna, please help me," like. Anyway, but it really depends, Of course, sometimes devotees get some karmic jobs, and at least they should get the jobs where they can follow the 4 regulative principles, which is quite hard to get sometimes. Yeah. We had a friend in Romania, and he was looking for a job, and it was really, he was not very qualified, but it was really hard for him to find a job. It was really hard because these stores, they have leather, they have there was tobacco stores, there was gambling stores which were hiring, like everyone who was hiring, there was some problem with it. So eventually, but you can try. If someone is in this kind of situation, they can try to keep their consciousness and they make it really clear and sincere that, okay, I have this job, I have to maintain myself somehow, but my purpose is not that, like.
I just remember the lecture I heard yesterday from Kadamba Karana Swami. He said that we cannot develop some higher inclination otherwise if you're not associating with them. So if you want to raise in the mood of goodness or even higher, then you need to you will get these gunas, these propensities by associating with them. So like if you are like surrendered with material things, it's really hard to go beyond that. It doesn't help that much if I'm missing. I understand your point, which is really solid. So, but at the same time, like.
Yeah. From practical perspective, you get affected, and you can try to get the best out of a bad bargain. Like. If you can get a job in a restaurant where you do prasadam and so on, it's better, of course. If you can maintain yourself from sankirtan, it's better. But there's different nuances. It's not black and white. And everyone is, like in a certain point, and some devotees might not be ready to, like, okay, I give up everything and move to the temple, because if they do that, then they will, after 1 month, they will give up temple life and move back to something, and they were just gonna destroy their current position. And as I said in the beginning, it's important to be properly situated. That you can sustain Krishna consciousness for a long time. So, I don't know. It's complicated.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Nitai Gaura Premanande, Hari Hari Bol.
Kundava Madhava Prabhu ki